All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another stream. It's actually been pretty good that I've been resuming these weekly streams, and yeah. So let's get into it with some of the updates. So one thing that I wasn't able to fully show last week, and somebody asked about this, it's kind of some of the improvements. It's more of like optimizations done to the UI, and as you probably know, let's kind of jump into game mode. Um, so, the way I convey the details to the player is through this device, right? It's kind of like if you think of it like a Palm Pilot type of like the older type of, smart tablets or smart devices. This one, kind of looks like this. It's pretty similar to like the older style Palm Pilots. I think that's what they call them. But one of the issues that I had with this was that it wasn't working properly. So I did have, two separate classes. It was kind of causing, aside from like a much bigger size map for some of these classes, it was also kind of being a little bit hard to manage. So so what I ended up doing is kind of unify these under only one uh, device UI. So that both gets displayed on like the physical device, which again is one of those things that, if you're in combat, it would like interrupt that because it would just, you know, attach the device. So it's either that or the other option would be to change it to using just the HUD. And so that one would kind of turn into this, which is similar look, but at the bottom, and you can like it doesn't interrupt gameplay. You can have that up, or you can like hide it away. One thing that wasn't that I was trying to fix is mainly like the crafting. So there's some basic crafting in the game where you can like craft like arrows for your bow, some other small devices or small items, depending on the mission that you're doing. And so that crafting section wasn't working properly. So I got that fixed. And right now I just need to do some alignment so like they all align with the kind of like where you see on the left corner there with the UI. So this one, when you press B, it would go into like the current items that you can currently craft. And so you can see like it's got like the items, the requirements, and then what you currently have in the inventory. So right now there's zero. And once you want to craft this, you can just hit the middle mouse button. And this one again, it's not interrupting gameplay in any way, especially if you have it in this kind of HUD display. So if you were to like pick something up, like this is one of the searchable boxes. And so when you pick something up, you can like see here, you picked up some scraps. So now you have three in the inventory. And of course, if you like open up another one, you search for that. This one, I think I've set this particular bin to have like 10 scraps and this one to have three. And yeah, if you go through it and search again, it just says it's empty. And let me actually, hopefully you can hear um, the sound because along with let me see if I can turn that on. So along with the notification display, there's also like the player has a little bit of an audio saying like, let's see.
It's empty.
So hopefully you can hear that kind of the player saying, it's empty. And it also kind of spoke um, when it was kind of searching through the trash, right? The first time, scraps. Okay, so now if I was to switch back to using the actual device, it's back into it, and so you get the mission menu with some basic information on your inventory, like the weapons that you have, binoculars, the health bar, and if you switch to crafting, you'll see what I mean by, like the thing there is, a little bit off to the side. So it should just be, I just need to like place it on top of the actual device. So that should be hopefully a simple fix. But yeah, so that's kind of where this is at with the UI. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I'm sorry if I introduced some confusion during the last stream, is that I am not using Nanite. Um, what had happened was, and I was kind of confused why. So in my project settings, if you were to look for Nanite, so this one was enabled. And in my config file, it also said it's this, it actually, it's a CVAR. So this one was set to true. But unfortunately, I later discovered that in a separate .ini file, I think I might have edited it some time ago, it was set to be disabled. So I guess the disabled CVAR was taking over and it wasn't, um, and even though this one was on, it wasn't doing anything. And that's why, when I was looking at a bunch of the meshes, even though they had none out enabled, they looked like they were broken. And I couldn't figure out why. It's like, well, I have Nanite enable and this is running great. So I was like kind of excited about the fact that I had Nanite running. But unfortunately, after doing a bunch of digging, which actually was a little bit more than I was hoping to do, or spend time on, I discovered that it wasn't enabled. On one hand, it was kind of a relief knowing that, okay, the performance that I'm getting right now is without Nanite, which is great. I was kind of thinking that the performance was also due to Nanite enabled, but it actually wasn't. So um, yeah, relief on one hand, I guess. Hey, Neo, hey, what's going on? So yeah, I cleaned up those .ini files and so yeah, no nanite, using Lumen, which of course, I really enjoy it. One thing that I wanted to share, I'm not sure if I've shown this or not, is so and this is mostly for help with people using even older cards than what I have. So in the settings, and actually let me minimize some of these because I have like a dozen tabs open. So let me actually get like a little bit um, of a more realistic performance. So in the menu itself, in the settings, and actually let me go into full screen mode. Uh, so in the settings, there's an option under video where you can change the GI options. So and before I go there, let me actually stat. I can't remember if it was like stat GPU or no, actually not that one. Let's do stat FPS because I think that's just a basic thing to show the current FPS. Um, so I just wanted to show kind of the difference in performance when so right now this is using Lumen in all areas, as we can tell from here. So GI options is currently all areas. So I've set it so that it's only using GI like global illumination in interiors, or if it's like completely disabled. So right now it's all areas, as you can tell, but let's actually turn it on to only interiors. So if I turn it on to only interiors, yeah, so there's a change in, it doesn't look as good as before, but you can see like the frame rate just jumped by. I think, especially in game mode, it's bigger than in the editor, like the change. So right now it's at 70. I think it was at 60. So pretty good change. But that also keeps, like if you go to a place that is, whoops, I don't want that enemy to see me just yet. So let me hide for a little bit. Maybe he's gonna resume his is patrolling. Come on, my guy. Go away. There he goes. I think he's like still focusing on that area. But so now that the GI is set to only interiors, let's go into like an interior. So this would be an interior. So as you can see, it's a little bit too abrupt. Oh shoot. I mean, this guy is like relentless now. Um, and once you go outside, is again without lumen, right? So you can get like much better performance. without lumen, but also have that interior global illumination happening. So, of course, a lot simpler areas interior wise than exterior. So, so then you can just go back in here and in the video, you can change this one to all areas. And, we got lumen enabled across everywhere. And you can see like, the performance dropped quite a bit. So, but everything, looks much better. So that's one of the other things that I might have shared it in the past, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys know about it as well, and also new people joining the stream. Right. Let's see. What else from a functional standpoint? Um, yeah, another thing that I was doing, I was trying to achieve a balance of the landscape grass, so that trying to keep the overdraw low, but also the density at a point where it doesn't look like it's just like patches dropped here and there. So I think at the moment, this one looks at a pretty decent density when it comes to these areas. And also, I got it to a point where it's not, killing performance very, very badly. Yeah. The other thing that I was looking at is, I've also kind of reduced the the number of, and actually let's jump into the main level. Um, so I've also reduced the number of rocks. So hopefully that should reduce the texture footprint, kind of reduce the draw calls as well, because there's only so many instances or types that I have. Yeah, so let's take a look at that real quick. To me, it felt like it's kind of breaking up the surface a little bit better. And I'll show you kind of right now. I think I only have like two or three types of rocks for the terrain. So bear with it while it loads. And also some of the things from last week that we were noticing as issues, like namely like collision issues and um, some of these like the warehouse areas um, that were like the scale of the doors were just not right. All right, so I'll just keep it with maybe I'll keep it with the daytime setting for now. So let me just do it like this. So we'll get a better view. And you'll probably notice I've changed this to be like since this is Lakeview Haven, I changed this to be like Lakeview Logistics. Uh, it was kind of just like everywhere was Haven, Haven, Haven. So it's, Haven Brewing, Haven Hardware. So I just wanted to make that change. All right. So I was mentioning that I did update the kind of the ground rocks a little bit. So I'm try to go with this kind of shelf, or I think that's what you call it in natural world, but like a shelf type rock. So, I can sync this at a different positions. So like when you're on the ground level, this surface kind of breaks up the all the flatness of the terrain, I felt like. So, in certain areas, it could kind of, to me, I felt like, oh, you know what, I'll try this out, see how it works out. So yeah, like I said, trying to remove the the flatness of the terrain in some areas, like around here, for example, like you can see like some of them are really sunk into the ground. So I felt that that could work. So I'm trying that out as well. Um, and I think it might also help from if you look at the shader complexity, this one's simpler than the terrain itself, terrain being kind of reddish, it's kind of in this area, but with the rock, just kind of covers that, so it reduces the overall complexity in the viewport. Okay, yeah, so that was the other thing, and I'm trying to kind of unify the textures being used across these rock meshes, kind of trying to keep this surface of this kind of mossy rock, and I'm kind of testing right now to see how it looks on these bigger kind of cliff faces. I'm still, debating about whether to use that or not. Um, oh no, Neo, sorry about that. Let me see, if I refresh, can that? Yeah, if you did post any messages, I didn't see anything, chat. So, uh, sorry about that. Yeah, so and yeah, like I said, there's like only two types right now. There's like this type of kind of scatter rocks, and then this bigger one. So it's a little bit of a just playing around and seeing what would work best. Let's see what else. Yeah, so like I said, just some small changes around here. The scale of these doors are, now they're a little bit more realistic to the size of the player than they used to be. You can see it like how it is now, and a lot easier to integrate with the existing doors that I currently have. And yeah, those should work. Those should work better as well. Let's see what else. Yeah, just some small things around like the decals, just to add a little bit more detail. Kind of just this kind of cracked decal around the sewer drains. Just a little bit of a visual thing. Um, yeah, played around with one of the areas where you're gonna meet some of the NPCs, mainly behind these houses here, and just started working on creating some of this kind of basement corridor entrance down here. So we might be working on that today. I was trying to kind of work on, like I said, this zone 5 as well, because I think the warehouse area is almost done. Like I said, I wish I was able to spend a little bit more time to finish up like the the backside of it here. I didn't get around to do that, but I'll do that in my off time, or maybe I keep talking about trying to do a stream in the evening, so I'm gonna try for that as well. Um, oh, so Neo, I think it would look better as a real mesh. Oh, do you think about that for the drain itself, like um, this drain here that kind of goes, along the side? Unfortunately, I don't have one that would look as good as the decal. So yeah, and I have to stick with the decal for now. Yeah. I kept on trying to find one, but I just um um I wasn't lucky uh to find it. So I'll keep digging, I'll keep looking here and there to see if anything comes along. But yeah, so like I said, uh another thing that I've been doing just to kind of remove um some of the assets that I don't use. And you see like a lot of these houses um, have have doors, right? So these are going to be locked, right? But I want the player to be able to interact with the doors. You know, even though he's not going to be able to open them, but it's not. I don't want the player to feel like walking up to a door and not even get that feeling of interacting. You know, like being able to interact. So even though they're not, there's no interiors or they won't be able to enter those most of these buildings, but I want the player to have that, you know, to be able to try it. Did you try the fast geo streaming plugin? It's actually enabled. So let me. I'm not. I do remember enabling it. Yeah, so there it is. So it is enabled. Especially in the editor, I have not noticed like you know flying around like all over the place. I haven't noticed any stutters anymore. So um, hopefully it's not just on my end like a placebo type of stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, you know this works so much nicer now. But oh man, come on, just reduce the speed. But I hope that it is the plugin itself doing its thing, you know? So yeah. Um, so let's see what else. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention is, and let me see if I can, um, yeah, it's still experimental. I mean, I'm still on 5.6. I can't remember when it came out, so hopefully they're gonna be better about it. Another thing that I wanted to mention is, so this week I've actually ran a couple of builds of the project, and everything built perfectly fine. I had one issue that I had to solve related to a groom for one of the metahuman NPCs, but once that got sorted out, project built perfectly fine. Main level map, the test level map, everything runs as in the editor. So in the build project. So so yeah, that was another great test. Spent some time on fixing those issues. But yeah, the project is built, and actually, let me see, what was the size of it? Um, so the build size for the project is, as it sits, oh, almost 20 gigs. So not too bad, but yeah, it built with at least I haven't while you know kind of running across the map and like you know playing around with like shooting at some things and you know not a whole lot of things being done, but I haven't had any issues with it, so I'm assuming that I mean, for what it's worth, it's doing as it what is expected of it. Um, so yeah, that was a good thing. I mean, to me that was you know a successful day that day with you know being able to build the project, and it actually built it pretty quickly. Like I said, I had to do the some small fixes to the you know for that issue that I was having with the groom, but yeah, after that it everything ran perfectly fine. So I was really happy about that. All right, well, so I'm thinking for the rest of the stream, I'm just gonna you know kind of try to continue you know building some of this area. You know maybe ramble on a little bit, but let's see what comes of it. Um, so let's finish off with the sidewalk, kind of regenerate these rocks, and yeah, so this is, you know, kind of my choice with this particular rock is kind of like the in a way the flatness of it. So it's a little bit non-very distinctive in a like, you know, you can see uh, with this, it's harder to tell that you're using the same rock like multiple times, right? There's like some rocks that are pretty distinctive. Like I think maybe these ones could be pretty, bland. Bland is a word that I'm trying to use carefully. Like, but like filler acids, right? That don't look like that repetitive across everywhere. So, you know, still experimenting, but um, yeah, they're supposed to be to like to me, kind of break up the flatness of the terrain in a way, and also not, oh, I've seen that rock like 3 meters behind, that it looks exactly the same. And yeah, this one is very similar, but like once they once they simulate on top of each other, they kind of create a new shape. So I think that could help. How will you do tests on other hardware though, like before launch? So what I plan on doing is I'm gonna share the project maybe via Google Drive or something like that with a number of people, kind of like reach out through Discord or Twitter or something like that, and ask them to try it out and see how things are working. Uh, so far, I've tested it on two different systems, and they seem to be running fine. One better than the other because it's running I think it's a 2080 or no, maybe a 2070. So it's much better than my 1070. So running quite a bit better than mine. But but yeah, to me, I mean, like I said, it's I was happy that it built properly, and it's at least on two different machines, it runs as expected. Hey Bob, salud, salud, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, guys. So that's kind of I think it's the bigger news in a way that I was able to the project is built and runs um, as expected from kind of mirrors what's in the editor, right? So to me um, that was important to have and to kind of make sure that it it behaves properly. How about is the performance in the build game compared to the editor? It's actually comparable. It seems to be better in the build project. So right now I think I've built it without the HLODs because I was cleaning up some of these buildings, so I just removed the HLODs. So it is, but it does match. It does match the editor pretty well. Um, it might be a little bit better because it's like when you look at the editor, you see that this is like at 50 right now, right? But it's still a different aspect ratio. So when you go full screen, this is not going to be 50 anymore. So this is like 45-ish, 44, 45-ish, right? So a lot of times, I might be looking at some of this as like, oh, it actually runs at, 48, 49, maybe close to 50. But um, so it seems like, once you build it, it, there's definitely a performance improvement. I wasn't able to tell by how much. I think like I was playing around this area here, so this one in the build project, and again, this is not really a good test because I do have like, all these tabs open. Um, but this area here was running at around 53, 54 on high settings. Are you on SM6 or I am on SM6? And actually, I think you need SM6 for Lumen, but I haven't seen any differences in performance, to be honest. Um, I think I've actually seen it better on SM6. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but um, I think I decided that, oh, I mean, I need SM6, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go with it. But yeah, I can't remember when I last tried it on SM5 just to see if which one was better. All right, let's see. What do we want to do? I'm gonna try and like place this road, kind of create some of this road area, and just try to get it on the grid. And we'll resimulate some of the like the vegetation and all that kind of stuff. And while we're at it, maybe do a little bit of the bit of this kind of backyard here, or back alley. All right, so let's go and I think I might need to do the trees as well. Yeah, that's and yeah, I'm not sure if like you're probably right on that. I can remember if we only have the option of hardware lumen or also like the software lumen. All right, so there we go. We got rid of that. Let's do the rocks, and we'll do the logs as well, because I think there's some that are kind of weirdly placed. Oh, okay. I haven't tried. I didn't think that we had that available, like a software lumen. Hmm. But yeah, thank you for mentioning. I'll take a look at that and see if there's any improvement between like SM5 to SM6. For whatever reason, the rocks take a little bit longer to simulate, just maybe because it's looking at all the collisions with the existing stuff. So hopefully that'll be done here shortly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. So like the hardware, you're thinking more of like the RTX GI or something like that. And because I think you're right. You, I don't think you needed to retract the message. I think that's accurate. All right, there we go. So we remove some of that. Let's also do the logs. Usually the logs were a lot quicker to simulate. Yeah, one thing that I haven't tried is this PCG tool uh, to um, to see if it helps in any way with. I mean, would it help with the how fast this gets simulated? Like if you were to make some changes? Um, I don't know. And that's kind of interesting why these ones are still here. Let me take a look at something real quick. Bear with me just a little bit. Oh, that might explain it. So in my procedural foliage tool, there's an option here to exclusion in landscape layers. So like the layers where these assets, these procedural foliage will not be simulated on. And I had to make it to mud because I think these are kind of old from my old shader. So so I want it to be either to have like an inclusion or to be excluded. So I'm gonna add this in here as well, and it's just gonna be on the forest layer. So let's see, what do we have here? And this one should be excluded from mud. It should spawn on all the other ones. And same here, let's do forest. And then exclusion is just gonna be so it doesn't simulate on mud, just to make sure. Let's do this stump. And then this other one, where are they? So it's gonna be in the forest and need to exclude it from mud. All right, so we'll try and resimulate again. Hopefully, I hope I painted enough of this area. I can see some ferns over here, so I think maybe below this it's still like a forest layer, so I'm guessing that's why that's part of it. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's better. All right, so the kind of the street is coming together a little bit. Just gonna try and place the sidewalk on the other street, on the other side, kind of next to the where the soccer field would be. And then just maybe some cars parked on the side of the road here. We'll add some more later. But okay, let's try and finish up this. And this kind of, you know, uh, alleyway, gangway. I can't remember what you would call this, but in between the buildings. This would be like a really good place where, you could use the um, the landscape layer to paint like grasses alongside the building. So, things like this. That went a little bit too far. There we go. That's a little bit better. So let's try and get this sculpted out a little bit. So what I feel could be interesting could be to raise the sides a little bit, like the edges of the house. Just kind of leaving the middle to be a little bit lower like that. One thing to note, this is might make things a little bit difficult, is that the grass is kind of like a clump. So yeah, it kind of creates a little bit of a, especially like in some areas, it might create this to be like a floating type of vegetation. So um, with kind of like higher detail areas, you might want to spend a little bit more time, is what I'm thinking, to, if you do make it like this, to try and get it to, I mean, to make sure that you don't have any of the floating vegetation like this. I mean, I've seen it in Far Cry 5, so sometimes you can't, I mean, yeah, there's going to be areas that will have that, but I'm a little bit picky about that. So yeah, that's a little bit better. I mean, you're not going to be able to get down to that level, so I think that that works better. All right, and since we're like kind of in on the side of these buildings, the other thing that I wanted to add is like a little bit of ivy, just kind of some of these things that kind of creep up the building. And the other thing that these do, and is they add this a little bit of an ambient occlusion, like onto the building itself. So I think they can help with, breaking up the surface as well. Like you can see, it can get a little bit repetitive, especially if you're like farther away. You can see it on this one even better. Like it kind of gets repetitive like that. So I feel like things like this and decals really break up the surface. So let's see, maybe we'll add a couple more. See, what can we do here? We got one for the corner, so we can add this. Maybe it doesn't look so good on that side. Let me see if I rotate the building around. I think it looked better the other way. Yeah, we'll probably keep it like this, and I'm just gonna change the kind of the back side of the house here so it doesn't look like a store entrance. But in the meantime, let's try and use this one on the corner here. There we go. And I can try and use another one here. Let's see how this one looks like. Oh, I like that. So it looks like it's spread all the way to the top of the building. And we can change this one to what other types do we have? And if anybody's interested, this is Ivy package from Decagon. Um, they're awesome. They usually have sales. They have sales quite often. So you can definitely check that out. I know I get all my stuff. I wait for sales. All right, let's see. Can we add something in here? Those are corners. Let's try this one. That's one that's on the ground. Same with that one. All right, there we go. I think that's a pretty good one. Just like that. Yeah, so I think that already makes it look much better, like behind that, like the this alleyway behind in between the buildings. And I'm gonna grab, I know that I was using a couple of the decals on some of these other buildings. I just wanted to make sure that I use the same ones, just so that I don't have like 20 of the same type of decal. All right, so I think that could be a good one. And the other one is, where's the other big one? Because I got one that's right on the side of this. Oh, okay, so it's that one and this one. Yeah, there we go. So, it's subtle, but I feel like it helps. And for whatever reason, this one's got like I've made it really thin somehow. And yeah, one of the plans is to also from an optimization standpoint is to join all these like modular buildings into one mesh. And it should give me a much better control over like the materials here. Like you can see like this section here at the top, this is one single mesh. And unfortunately, since it uses the same material on the side and this side, you can see like it's kind of that siding material is uh, flowing into this side as well, which should be brick. So that should help with those, kind of issues like that. All right, let's see. So, back here, we're kind of getting all the way behind these buildings. Same here. And then let's kind of continue sculpting this out and try and work on this little area like basement entrance area under the house. I guess I got some of these big flat rocks back here as well, but those should be removed once the final sculpting happens, or painting of the terrain. So actually, let's just do that now since we're here. To paint some of this mud and remove some of this vegetation. And then we can add back in if we want some grass here and there. All right, so the main thing is, where do I want the exit? I'm going to reproduce what I have in front of the building. It kind of goes underneath like this, and it comes on this side, just off to the side a little bit like that. I'm also thinking of having it on the side of the building here, so maybe I'll do it that way. It would add a little bit of a variety. So let's try that. We'll see which one works best because it's going to be really simple to make that adjustment. So basically, I'm just going to copy these pieces from here. Oh yeah, one interesting thing that I've discovered, I guess, I mean, it's better late than never, but whenever you add things into your world, so I've been doing this thing where I have all these like level instances, right? So you can go into like a level instance and like add items, move things around, make changes. But if you don't have, if you don't need to have them in a level instance, like maybe some of these areas here, um, and I'm kind of caught in the middle right now, but let me quickly move these. This is zone 5. So what you can do is you can like select zone 5 and then make current folder. So now when you drag an asset into the world, it's going to automatically place it into this folder. Might not be anything new to some folks, but to me that was like, oh, what's this option for make current? And then I realized what it does, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this. So hopefully that's helpful, or it helps some other folks out there. All right, let's see how this one would work. So I got the little handrail there. This one here just to help with the edge of that. There we go. And this would just going to use it to like kind of blend into where the exit of the house would be. Okay. Actually, I think I like that on the side of the building. You come underneath and you have this. All right, cool. Yeah, let's finish this off here. And for now, I'm just gonna try and use just this flat mesh that I have, and we'll see what would work best for a material on this. So I hope that once the all these pieces are in place, um, the lighting should work out pretty nicely. Is what I'm hoping. There we go. Let's try and make the ceiling here. And we'll use my kind of roofing material. I think that could work pretty well. Like this. I feel that could work. Let me see exactly which one I use for the roofs over here. Oh, I called it tarmac. Oh, that's even better, yeah. It's still the same texture set, but I'm trying to just make sure they use the same material, and it's even better tiled, so that's good. I'm gonna try and like kind of get this edge of it to match with that one. Okay, so that could work. I think it should. There we go. Let me go into unlit mode real quick. I'm gonna need to lift these up a little bit. No biggie. There we go. How far do I want to bring that? To about there. All right, I think that would work pretty well. And these I-beams, I think they do a good job at joining all these pieces together and helping up like wherever like there's an issue with like the tiling, kind of, breaking that up a little bit. Like you can see it here. I was using it around the warehouse area as well. So I feel that those would work pretty nicely. Like around here, for example. Just like that. All right, let's see what we want to use for the ground here. And I'm probably going to use the terrain sculpting as well to get some of the mud coming through and maybe a little bit of grasses just to break up the surface even more. So let's see, maybe we can use the asphalt. Because that one has, I'm using it in other places as well. And I can also do it's like a two-tone material, so I can do some vortex paint. And this particular mesh is subdivided, so I can get some more details. Let's see. First, as usual, trouble is finding it. Once you get to have way too many things. Yeah, so this is the reason that I wanted to use it. You can see like how I was able to paint some of these areas around here, and we'll see if I can get the same thing done on that side. Yeah, and you still see this video memory has been exhausted. I didn't get a chance to look into something I mentioned last week to for a lot of these highly detailed assets to try and turn those into virtual textures, like especially for cars, like uh, you know, turn that into a virtual texture, and that should reduce a lot of that count. But yeah, I need to experiment with that a little bit, and hopefully I'll have something to share with you guys. So let's get this on here, and we'll see how it works when you paint it. And let's go into Vertex Paint, and we can select all three of these, or actually, oh, that's interesting. Oh, there you go. It's with Shift Select. So now I can hopefully paint on some of this stuff. So stuff like that, just to break up the surface a little bit. It doesn't have to be too excessive. But yeah, it already looks a little bit different. And now if I try to also sculpt the terrain a little bit, let's see, it's got to be like very little. Like, see, that's a little bit too much. We'll see how it works. Some of the materials that I have might not get as good of RVT influence as these ones, but let's see what we can do. There we go. That looks better already. I mean, it's at a the the level of sculpt is at a closer level that at least where I wanted it to be. And like I think I might have gone a little bit too much here, but it's still, just some dirt. So now let's try and paint some grass. So again, just in some corners, not, I don't want to overdo it either. But, kind of like that. Not sure if I overdid it, but yeah, see, this is, especially this material being vertex paint type of material. Not sure why, in this area here, maybe it took a while to, and it's probably also because of this video memory has been exhausted. Um, like you can see that it's actually better now. So, and what I might do is, I've been thinking about that, is I'm gonna move this over here. So it's not like right in front of the door. Okay, there we go. Um, with some of these areas that are like underground or hidden, what I usually like to do is add another post-process volume so that I can better control like the lumen influence, or like the how much light is being injected in some of these areas. So let's see. Uh, as you can see, it got added to zone 5, which is the current zone that I'm in. And I just need to scale this up to include this area. And it's almost there. There we go. Hey, legends never die. Um, so hello, hello. So the warehouses, those are originally from a package called Modular Warehouse. So if you're asking about these ones over here, that's where they're from. Of course, this is the only thing that is original is the mesh here. A lot of the materials have changed, so I'm not sure if maybe this is the style is the same, with like the corrugated plastic, corrugated metal. I I still kept the doors, but and I think also yeah, I still kept like the boxes and the shelves for the interior. But yeah, it's an awesome package. Again, it comes on sale every now and again. So yeah, modular warehouses. All right, so back to this post-process volume. Let's see if we can get a little bit more light to be injected in here. Where is the lumen section? Da, 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 here. All right. Yeah, yeah. And they're nice. They're definitely some nice assets. Let's do color boost like that, and we'll do some skylight leaking. So there we go. We got a little bit more light coming in through in here. And then once we cross into the outside, that looks pretty good. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I normally do as well. With a lot of these things. I just I get the sometimes I use them as is. Like for example, with these town shops. Like I haven't tweaked them. I've just kind of combined most of the bricks into like two brick types of bricks, just to reduce that texture memory usage. But yeah, a lot of times. Especially for these big architectural pieces, like these, for example, they look awesome to begin with. So this town shops package is really really nicely done. But yeah, for other things, I usually just go about and uh, tweak them. All right, so in here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and not make this as just a simple straight corridor, but I'm gonna try and make it so that it's got like a little bit of a turn in it, so just add a little bit of variety. So maybe somewhere around here, I'll kind of bring this up like this. So there we go. I think we can even go a little bit more, like so. Let's continue to finish this off. And then this one, wow, I almost planned it. They kind of overlapped where exactly where they were supposed to. So that's a win for me. And this guy is coming out a little too far, so let's push them back a little bit. And also, at least one of those basements are going to be enterable. Okay, flatten. There we go. And I'm not entirely sure why there's this little bit of a difference here when the thing is on the same level. Oh, I just didn't, yeah, the grid. It's the grid. Let me just do that real quick and also do this scale at, I'm gonna make the scale a little bit smaller just so that it doesn't seem so, um, it's got a smaller tile on it, you know, like that big parking lot that was scaled to 4, so it was, you know, you wouldn't see it, um, you know, that badly, but on this one, see if it was, if at 3 would still be okay. I think 3 could work. Okay. So I can keep it at 3. I just don't want to, I want it to be like the width of the corridor so I don't have to place too many of these. And also I forgot to make it so that it's on the grid so that I can move it around and hopefully remove that that little edge or that little thing there, seam. There it is. And I'm just going to need to paint it in a way, because like this here, this seam is due to the vertex paint, because one of them has a different set of vertex paint and this one is, you know, that's why I try to paint them all at the same time. There we go. And down in here, maybe I'll just move these off this way a little bit so they match. But let's do the same thing. So select these pieces and then go into vertex paint and let's see how it works. Remove some of that over there. Just try and paint along the edges here. Oh, somehow I've selected another mesh. I actually don't know how I managed to do that, but there we go. So just that it adds that little shade, and it's still I think it still helps. Doesn't have to be too exaggerated. So there we go. This is it's coming together. And so let's kind of get this one done on this side. To that point. So, you know, using these could kind of mask, you know, where the terrain sculpting has been. One thing that I should be doing a little bit better, like I'm doing on this side, I was testing it earlier with the character. I just want to make sure that, you know, you can like walk down the stairs and not, you know, literally hit your head and not be able to go underneath because the steps are not far out far enough. So let me move this out a little bit further. Probably gonna need another one of these asphalt meshes, but that's fine. So let's try and sculpt the terrain here. Yeah, exactly. And the camera not that totally true. Great point on that. Oop, that went a little too far. I think that's the right place for that. There we go. I think I can still move this out a little further. Yeah, I think that should be fine there. Oop, I went a little too much on that. And in here, I'm just gonna grab like these pieces from here. Actually, maybe on the back side of it, I'll just try and work it out through the sculpt. So I think that should be fine. Let me bring this over a little closer, like that. That one fits in pretty nicely there. That one over there. This one all the way out here. And that is almost there. Maybe I'll bring these in even further, just so that I don't have to, I only need one of those there. Okay, up to there. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, not too shabby. Right, this perfect place for like some junk, some like trash in these corners here. All right, let's finish this little edging around the top. Because this is kind of the bottom of the building. So maybe I need to scooch that over just a tiny bit. Well, yeah, I mean, that's great to hear, Legends. Thank you so much. Again, I'm not sponsored, so it's not like I'm I'm trying to advertise Unreal Engine here, but it is the engine that I'm using. So All right, well, let's try and get this thing in place. Maybe I'll drop down to 5 units here. Oof, might need even smaller. But yeah, this stuff is always fun to do. This week I didn't get around to do as much level design. It was more on like the uh, kind of fixing some of the blueprints and UI fixes that I had to do. So this is awesome to be able to do a little bit more of the level design, because I mean it's definitely enjoyable. All right, there we go. So back to 10 over here. Okay, no overlap. That's good. It can't be always perfect, but we'll get it as close as we can get it. Let me try, and I think I might need to, lower these down just a tiny bit. So they don't have, there's like, I'm seeing this little gap here. So just trying to cover that. Okay, I think that's better. And also pushing them this way a little bit. There we go. All right, yes, that's better. So we're gonna need one more piece over here just to help with the kind of where that little this little ceiling joins the building. Right there. I'm gonna pull this all the way up to that point so I can use it here. There we go. Yeah, now I'm kind of curious about um, some other. Um, it's one of those things, you got a number of locations in the game, and it's hard to make it, all look like the perfect lighting scenario at any time. Um, like I would like to maybe, be able to do something like that, but then, you got some other areas that might not look as good. So, yeah, just for example, with this lighting scenario, see, is there any opportunity for light to come in here? Yeah, a little bit. though not by much. I don't think there's. Oh no, there's an angle, like where you have like the light coming in like that. You know, that would be from that sunset scenario. But then will it look any good when you're in like um, the warehouse area or some other areas in the world? So yeah, I'll just keep it with the kind of daytime. All right, well, let's finish this off here. And we'll do the same thing, especially at the bottom of the stairs. We'll run this flatten. Whoa, where did I end up? There we go. Whoa, that was not the point where I wanted it to go. It's here. So there we go. Just right in this little corner here. So you can have a little bit of grass at the bottom of those steps, right in that corner. All right, well, actually, let's test out collisions with the character now, because I think we have an exit. Still needs to be a little bit refined here, but we do have an entrance and an exit. So, and luckily the start point is right here. So let's try that out. See how this one turns out. And we'll try kind of the little back alley, side alley in between the buildings. Oh, and my bad. It's kind of like for whatever reason, like it's whenever you go into game mode, it unhides the two playing scenarios that I have. So that's why it's running so poorly. So let me delete that let me delete that sky and I'll just let it be on the daytime. Actually, let's try. I think I've made use of this hidden function that I've put it in. So hopefully at runtime it should hide it. But let's see how that works. All right, so there we go. That's hidden. I still need to get the little puffing and puffing when you run on the control so it sounds a little bit better. Okay, so, you know, kind of back alley seems to work pretty well. Let's see behind here how things are looking. And of course behaving once I start going down the steps. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Um, Height-wise, when you jump, it's not like something that you hit, so you can jump all the way. And exiting from here, that's looking good. There's one thing that I hate with stairs sometimes, it's kind of like the jittering like the of the camera. So I'm trying to make that so it's not like too too extreme. And so the runtime virtual textures are coming through into this asphalt pretty well, like around here and around here. Okay, I think that works. All right, let's finish off what we have going on here. So I'm just gonna keep using this particular mesh for 1, 2. Let's see, can we make it so that these meet right here? Yeah, why not? I think that we can make that work. There we go. This whole sidewalk is, need to fix that. There we go. That got cleared out. So this one is right across where that those two meet. That's good. There we go, and we can extend this out all the way there. And I think what I'll add here is just to help with that lighting underneath, so it's not, even so it's still flat, you know, like there is some areas of it, like the entrance is good, but let's just help it out a little bit. See how this is gonna look. Like especially in this corner here, see like how it kind of looks a little flat? I wanted to add something to maybe help with it. So it doesn't have to be much, but like, you know, that's too much. You know, I don't want that to be so strong. But if I can get it to a small value, I think that could work. And just, you know, kind of just keep it in that corner there. Maybe make it a little colder. What am I missing here? It's the spotlight. Oh, it's the, where did I thought I had that setting for this little, there's like a second little light here that does this kind of backdrop. So let me see. Am I not setting any intensity for that? Or just the visibility from what it looks like? Seems only the visibility. So right now that one's a little too much. Let's reduce that a little bit. And also the radius. Okay, there we go. So something like that. That's what I was hoping to do. All right, so let's break up this wall with maybe like some decals, some leaking stuff, like a little bit of a electrical panel type of thing. All right, let's do that. And that way we can probably incorporate something going into this light here. And I'm going to need to go to one of my buildings here to get to the folder where I have these kind of panels here. And let me I'm gonna check something out real quick. And these are also like cable set. Okay, so I can like use these. And why don't I use this whole thing already since it's here? All right, so let's copy. Go back to my little basement here. So there we go. It could be like the electric setup for the building. If you were to think of it as what's the practical use for it? You know, that one looks like it goes all the way to that end. Maybe I can use this one. Let's see, I'm gonna make it a little smaller. So somehow, you know, it comes out of this junction box and goes into my light here. Of course, if I can set this rotation where it's not going into the wall. There we go. So that helped break some of that area up a little bit. And I was saying, you know, maybe we can add some like decals on the bottom. So let's do that. One thing that I kind of recently learned, I'm like, how come I didn't know this? But especially with decals and trying to break up this kind of joining between like a vertical surface and the flat surface. I mean, horizontal surface and vertical surface. I was always doing this, I was placing one decal here and then another one on the vertical wall. But then I'm like, dude, that can't be the only way that you can do it. But then if you just do like a 45-degree angle, then it's the same thing. So I was like, come on, I didn't know this. How come? But yeah, so there we go. We'll use this to kind of break up that part where this vertical surface and this horizontal surface meet. And I think that should work out pretty nicely. Let's see, how do we want to position these? I'll try and have maybe most of it on the ground like that. Let's see, is that enough? How does it look from over here? I think that's looking decent. But as you can see, it already like removes that connection, or not connection, but that it kind of makes that transition feel more natural. And of course, around these areas here where this kind of I-beam support meets the wall, I was showing in the latest stream, or the past stream, this kind of similar thing, right? So let's reset the rotation. Then kind of I'm just going to reset the scale as well because it's all over the map. But let's do it like this. So I'm just going to try and scale this down. And, try to make it as thin as possible so that, like somebody mentioned in last stream, which was a perfect point, was that the, what happens if you shoot at this metal surface here, you know, you still want it to receive decals. So in some cases, it's best if you try to, make it work with the decal, making it as thin as possible. Maybe other cases, it's might not work, so you just have to make it so that it ignores decals. But in this case, just using one should be plenty. So I'm going to try and make it so that it doesn't seem too repetitive, especially like you have, this little bulge here. And then same thing for the corners, turn to 45 degrees. There we go. Maybe that's a little much. Let's see if I can maybe just make that a little bit fainter. I think that could work. All right, so let me use this one. around on this bottom here. Yeah, so you can see already that, adding those decals, I feel like it helped with that transition. And then we can just do the same thing for the top area here. Maybe this one could be vertical or not, but flat is what I meant. So let's see, 40, 45. Let's go 45. There it is. And just make these real thin. Yeah, one thing to be careful about is the Z fighting here, where the surfaces just overlaps just so perfectly. Let me try and position this one 36, 38. On the same Z plane as the other one. So there we go. It doesn't have to be the same position, so I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. And then we can rotate these as a little bit of a different kind of damage area. There we go. I think that helped. All right, I was saying to add kind of like a little bit of a leak type of thing here. So let me grab like a faint type of leaking decal. See how faint this is. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Kind of a little bit of a stretched out type of thing. So that's maybe a little too much. Let's make it a little smaller. There we go. And now a few pipes to go across the ceiling to fill that in as well. And for that, let me see. One thing that I usually try and find or like, um, you know, purchase if I can find it are, like prefabs type of packages. So a lot of creators will have a scene already built up, and that is huge help. Like that you don't have to like put all the pieces together. Like the pipe them, some pipes might look amazing, but then if you still have to do the work to put them together, that is consuming. So just gonna try and get something like this. Let's see, how does that look? I think this would fit in pretty well, though I'm not entirely sure of having that right next to the electrical outlets. So let me place it on this other side because this side is kind of empty. So that could work on this wall over here, like right there. And I'm just gonna need to adjust the LOD ratio real quick. Give me just a few seconds. Because it jumps to LOD3 way too quick. There we go. They look better now. So yeah, this came off of like this industrial kind of complex area, and these were already in place by the creator. And what I did, I just joined them into one mesh. So now I can kind of use this in a number of places. I was showing you a separate one that also that didn't really fit. At least I didn't feel like it was fitting in so well. Let's see, what is this one like? Like I think this one could definitely fit. Um, but let's see, maybe I'll just put it on this wall back here. And that's what I'm saying, like depending on how some of these areas are done, yeah, you're probably not gonna, you want to make sure how you build like the interior of the house because this is what's gonna look on the inside with one of these meshes. So yeah, but with that said, this particular mesh is quite versatile. So, I could definitely use it as a, 1 second, for something that goes on the ceiling. Oops, I went a little too far. We were just talking about something that would be great to have on a ceiling. So this could be like a sewer pipe or, something like that. Let's see, where do I want to put it? Yeah, I also should try and place it so it doesn't maybe rotate it like this. So it kind of stops right in here. And we'll try and play with the character because I kind of feel like right now it's going to bump his head on that. Um, so we'll have to see if I want to bring this up higher or actually just place it like this. So there'll only be like these pipes kind of hanging off of that. And then I could potentially make use of this, but kind of like this. So this one, let's try and move it this way a little bit. And then this guy right there. One thing, yeah, that I was afraid of is this one. Let's make sure that it's not sticking out of the building because it's a pretty big mesh. So, okay, so that's inside. That's good. I'm also trying to like these connection pieces to kind of get them to be right there on the surface or like, so it's not like this, right? It doesn't just finish off, which I think it'd be fine if you put like a decal around it, but kind of having it like that, and then this one going into this side. It's long enough. So yeah, this was in my attempt to optimize that particular level. I've kind of went about and joined all these meshes together, and I'm guessing, well, there's another use for them, which is good. Yeah, let's see if we can, like, see this particular one is at an angle, so it kind of goes in that way. So I'm trying to think if I should better yet, like do them like this, though. Yeah, I think that could work as well. I just don't want that thing to kind of come poking through. So, nope, that actually could work. The only problem is with that particular I-beam in the middle. Try and lower it down. Okay, I mean, that could work. And let's move it this way a little bit. All right, yeah, I think that's gonna do all right. I'm okay with that. So let's grab this and try and use it on this corner as well, just like before. There we go. All right, so now for some of the kind of the finer details that I'd like to add is, around some of these uh, points where these pipes like, touch the wall or uh, connect with the wall. You know, I'm gonna try and put like some decals around here. And one thing that I want to do is, one second, I think I've lowered this, the detail on this texture a little bit too much from its original 4K to 1024. So I think I can go to 2048 just to get a little bit more out of it. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, let's add. So let's see, this is one thing that I don't want to do. See, it's sometimes, especially with these decals, you might get, and you can see this on the ground here. So that's why sometimes you got to be a little bit careful. There we go. But yeah, let's try and find a little decal here that could put like a little bit of a leak coming off of this point where this pipe enters the wall. So let's see what we can find. Again, just through some leaks and some cracked concrete. All right, what can we find? Let me just place the decal first and then we'll see what we can find. This is going to be something pretty small. And I think like kind of like a patch or something might be just just like this. Might fit it better. So again, just trying to make it thin. There it is. And then for like a small leak. Oops. That leak was not going to its intended its intended gravity. All right, let's see. Can we try? No, that's a kind of a wider um, area and not like just from a single point type of thing. This one could work. Let me see if I can increase the opacity. Yeah, let's see. It's got some potential. And maybe darkening it up a little bit. And good. All right. I think that would work. And but this one, I might make this one a little bit smaller. It's kind of big. There we go. I mean, that's pretty good. Just trying to think if there's a better patch that I can use. Let's see. Yeah, I also like cut back on a ton of them, so I only have like a subset of maybe 3 different patches. Um, so I mean, I think this one would be okay. I was actually let me try something. It's more for like a flat concrete surface, but I'm not entirely sure how this one would look concrete damage, but we can give that a try. Yeah, that does not fit. I mean, it is, like when you would think of a damage, but yeah, it doesn't. It definitely feels like it's for a flat surface or a horizontal surface, not a vertical. And you see, maybe it would go if it would work with a pothole. Nah, not really. Sometimes when you have to reduce like texture memory, you kind of end up with, oh man, I wish I would have kept that one from like that I used to use. But oh, actually, let's see. How does this look? You know, that might just work. It's got like the kind of the shiny thing around it, like the water was coming through at some point. Okay. What do you guys think? I can keep this one for now. It's just one of those textures that it didn't really, I don't think it ever had like it was kind of a interesting little normal for this. Um, Let me make the roughness a little bit. I think that could work. Let me see if I can get this one to be on top of it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be better behind it like that. Okay, well, with those together, I think I can also make use of them on this wall over here. And we might just replace that with the other patch. Let's see, so I'm going to try and place one over here. And this is, this would work even better because like this connection piece is right there. And it's unfortunately not up against the wall yet. So there we go. So I think that works even better. I mean, it feels more like um, it belongs, I feel like. There we go. So at least for some of them, I can try and like use that patch so it's not like in every single place it's the same. Like these guys used the exact same tool in every single place and it ended up with the same same looking opening. Or let me see if I can find that I've used earlier. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty good. All right, yeah, there we go. So we got something going on that wall over there. And also try and put this little, if I can select it, that is, I think the same spot. I don't think so. Oh no, it's this one. It's this kind of bigger one over here. I'll try to use something different. Like actually that would be an interesting spot there. So it's not like all the way on the wall, but it's right on the corner. So something like that. And now let me see if I can, for this corner, same thing. Like the inner corner and the outer. I mean, I guess that could be a thing where I would use the same thing, like the same texture, like at 45-degree angle to, let's see, 180 to go here. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. I mean, that's some like fighting in Z fighting going on there. But let's see if we can fix that. Just maybe push this in a little bit. And that's on the x-axis. So let's do not by much, just a tiny bit. So there we go. We got that on the corner as well. And we'll try and do the same thing on this side. Maybe just a little bit less. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit thinner like this. That's still not that thin, but a little bit fainter like that. And of course, one thing that can be done is um, like you can make this a little bit, not so dark. Like if I was to change the color of the material to have a different tint, you would get something more of a, like this. So I'm not sure if it necessarily blends in a little bit better, but um, it might help kind of, there it is. I mean, I think that looks pretty decent that way. All right, well, yeah, so what I want to do is I'm going to do the rest of this work, for like the top decals and like the side decals offline. But just before I let you guys go and I end the stream, like I said, I'm trying to keep it at around 2 hours. Let's add something alongside this edge, maybe like some little tr pieces of trash or debris. So let's see what we can place there. All right, well, I'm gonna try and start from the corner and add something in here. Let's see, this is like a corner, like in like that. Whoops. So there we go. We got something there and some for the edge. And for stuff like this, these are so small that I don't really care about it receiving. I think this should be in the post in the pack level actor for it to be receiving decals, right? That one I wouldn't mind if it just doesn't receive decals. So let me go into it real quick. I just want to select everything that's inside of this guy. So, so I can, place it a little bit better, not worry about the decal itself. Yeah, so there we go. We got some nice stuff kind of thrown into that corner. Then we can add a few more, like alongside the edge. Um, Also, let me add some like kind of dirt decal. that, but let's see what we got for decals. So, not necessarily to that extent, but let's see. Maybe something like this. This could extend the entire side. It's a pretty big decal. So it could be on that side there. Maybe on this side as well. So yeah, it's all about, to me, kind of breaking up the surface a little bit. So there we go. That combined with vertex paint, I think helps. All right, let's see if we can add a few more of these trash props, like especially in this corner here, for example. So like that. There you go. And of course, one thing that I usually like to add, and let me just add a kind of a debris type of decal here. Just to place it around the corner. Um, let's add some, this could also help. Since you'd be able to, kind of search through stuff like a trash bin. And, one thing that these would be good for, because you can see like right now the scene is, there's the pipes that have some shine to it, but then, oops, I did not want to do that. But then having kind of a bigger reflective object like this, I think that would be pretty nice. That you could, and we'll get in and kind of test these out and see how they work. And I should set this up so that it spawns scraps every time and not have to select them, but all right. And a few last things. To fill in this corner. There we go. And a little bit of a, something is leaking out of these bags. There we go. So now we have something in that corner on the floor, kind of an idea of, small items, medium items, and then large items, like the pipes, the trash bins, the trash bags, for medium to small, and then the small things like the trash or like these little, ground type of small trash, kind of bottles. And so let's go into game mode as to end this. Yeah, and I didn't forget about the ceiling, so I'll probably use something similar to these. Yeah, let's go in and see how it interacts or how the interaction with the trash bin looks like. Excuse me. Try and like minimize all these extra windows that I have. All right, so as usual, you got to open the lid. Oh, that's interesting. I forgot that this is like a lid that you toss up. So that is for, it'd be for this, right? Where you can like toss up the lid. This one, or to, flip the lid. This one should have been like, all right, so I'm gonna do it real quick. So this one should actually be like, kind of physicalized type of thing, where it actually just kind of kicks the lid off of the trash can. So let's get back in. All right, let's see how that works. All right, so much better. And then, just searching through it,
Good.
I guess there was some scraps in there, of course. This one that flips open, maybe it should flip open a little bit quicker. And then this one that just like kind of
More scrap.
you throw it overboard. All right, so yeah, there we go. Kind of this corner is all taken care of. And you can search through some of this stuff. The ground looks distressed enough. There's some like a little bit of dirt poking through there with some grass. I think there was some on this side as well. Yeah, I think that's this one. This one ended up much better looking, especially at that end. All right. Yeah. So there we go, guys. Um, I think I got everything that I was hoping to do, from a level design standpoint, sharing some of the latest details. Hopefully by next week, the being able to actually craft some scraps or some arrows out of the stuff that you pick up, and then use it on some enemies. And yeah, that should be fun. I'll try and do a little bit more on the buildings themselves. Like I was mentioning, is to kind of join these into one mesh, so we can have like on the side of the building, if this one has brick or a different material, I wouldn't be seeing this, right? So um, having some of that stuff done. And I'll probably do some like minor things that are not necessarily um, obvious, but I think to me, it adds a little bit of extra detail, like just these small steps, in front of building, like at the entrance. So, having something like that, that could look pretty good, and also break up this line that kind of goes across, right? Okay. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by, say hi, and watch some of this stuff. And until next week, have a great rest of your Sunday, and also have a great week. And I'll see you next week. All right, take care, everybody. Thanks again for stopping by.